Krishna's consort, the female aspect of God.
Are you saying they're the same being?
Same and different simultaneously.
That's
the difference.
Same and different. That's confusing.
Yeah.
So how would you explain?
Like the sun and the sunshine. They're the same. Sun is meaningless without the sunshine. And sunshine must come from a sun. So they're simultaneously one, but simultaneously different. If you say there's a sunshine in my room, therefore there's a sun planet in my room, that doesn't make sense.
Well,
so
you're seeing, I mean, if you see the sun, you're seeing sunlight. Yeah?
Okay, good.
So that's what you see.
Yeah.
But I mean, see, I've spoken to different people with different ideas about this, that, the other. I'm Paul, incidentally. Hi. What's your name?
Purujit.
Sorry?
Purujit.
Purujit. Purujit?
Yes.
Okay, Purujit. And you're Hader? Hader, okay. So how did, say, you get to conclude that it was definitely Krishna and that was the right identity, or...
Well, you can't be sure.
No, that's why.
Because
how sure are you? If I was to say, how sure would you be that it's Krishna, like out of 100? If you were totally sure, it'd be 100%. If you're kind of 50-50, 70%. What level? How sure were you when you concluded that was
we have
facts of the matter?
Yeah, we have imperfect senses.
Yeah,
Our mind is limited.
exactly.
So we always depend on some sort of faith.
Okay, so it's by faith.
No.
It's not by faith.
No, I'm just saying that this is one aspect of it.
Right.
Even for atheists, everyone, ordinary people, they go on a Google, they believe that the information on Google is right. You check the Google Maps.
Yeah, but if I'm looking at Google Maps of this road, I can have high confidence that this road is what Google Maps show, but it's this straight, this length.
Yeah,
you can test it.
Why? Because it's an authorized website.
Well, not just that. I can come here.
But also that. But also that.
Yeah. So
because
if I said to one of your friends, how long is New York Street? And it said on Google Maps, it said it was 1 mile,
You can measure it.
1.4.
Yeah.
You can test that. I can test it. She can test it. He can test it. They can
but there are
test
many
it.
things on Google Maps.
I suppose my question is, so my point is, that could be tested by anyone who looks into it and know that that's the correct conclusion.
Yeah.
Now, if I was to ask Hare Krishna, is Krishna the correct form? I presume they'd be said was. If I was to ask Jew, it would be Yahweh. If I was to ask a Muslim, it would be Allah. They come to different conclusions about what their God is like and who their God is or what their God wants.
Yeah, you already asked this question. You're asking it a different way.
So my question.
So let me just go back. Let me just go back to Google Maps. You can measure the Oxford Street.
You can.
But there are many things on Google Maps you can't measure. You can't measure the whole world, for example.
No, of course.
So you have to depend on someone to measure it for you. And because it's an authorized website and many people trust it, you trust it. Okay?
For a reason.
Yeah, the reason is because many people accept it.
I would say it's more than that.
What is more?
Because if it had a mistake on it, people would say, oh, I've been there, that Oxford Street isn't 1.4 miles long. They got it wrong.
Yeah, but those people who point out a mistake also must have some voice, because Google is a very powerful corporation, and they can silence those who criticize.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not talking about Google Maps so much.
If you have no authority, you can speak the truth, nobody will hear you. Nobody will hear you. That's a fact. Let's say Let me just finish this point.
Sure,
If you, let's say, have a cure for cancer.
Oh, sure.
Right, and you want to share it with everybody.
Yes.
Not so easy.
Well, I don't know.
Not so easy.
Well, a lot of people will be dying from cancer.
Yeah. But there are also powerful corporations who will see that, oh, this will threaten our sales.
Well, how do you know that? How would you know that they would do that?
It's a fact. You have competition. That's
Well,
how
I'm
business
not
works.
sure I would agree, because if that was true, any disease that they get a cure, because they get cures all the time.
Okay,
they would
let's
stop
take
that,
the politics.
stop that,
Let's
stop
take the
that,
example
stop
of
that,
politics.
stop that, stop. Well, that's a different that's opinion based. That's not factual based.
No, you can be a very
Politics
honest
is-
person who wants good for the others.
Oh,
If you
sure.
don't have the votes, nobody will hear you.
Well, then, but it's not
So-
about vote. Politics is about opinion rather than.
It's about votes. We're
Would you
living in a
agree-
democracy.
Would you agree that if this road is 1.4 miles, rather than say, and Google say that it's 1.2, we couldn't show.
Yeah, but do you know, like the streets in Japan?
I'm not talking about Japan. I'm talking about something else.
But Google Maps is
Yeah,
all
but
about the world.
I can't go
all
to
around the
Japan.
world.
I can't go to Japan.
And that's why you trust the Google Maps.
Well, I have reason. Would you agree I have some reason?
What is your reason to believe that in Japan it's like that?
I'm not talking about.
No, but suppose you go to Japan.
Oh,
You
if
wanna
I go to Japan, I can check the street in Japan and the people living in Japan.
No, before you go there,
Well, look, put it this way.
you're buying a ticket
Yeah.
for airplane.
Well, if all
you
right,
put
okay,
your
I would
faith in the
agree.
company.
No, I wouldn't say it's faith. That's trust. There's a difference between trust and faith.
What's the difference?
Trust is where you can see a good reason
Yes.
to think that, say, Google Maps is probably true. Now, I can't know before I came to Oxford Street how long Oxford Street is before I came, but I know a lot of people do. And I know that if they said it was a different size, they'd want to put it right.
Yes.
Because they want people to think.
Sure.
But a lot of things on Google I'm sure are wrong, but I would have thought there's good reason to trust, not have faith, but to actually trust.
Yes.
So, do you see what I'm talking about, a difference?
Yes, you believe with a reason.
With a
That
good,
is good reason.
good reason.
Yes,
Good,
that is
has
trust.
to be a good reason.
Yes.
That's not faith.
No.
So, when it comes to say, I could speak to a Muslim and say, it's Allah. Allah's the right God, not Krishna, not Yahweh, not this, that, the other. You can't test that
Yeah.
in a way that anyone.
Yeah, so you can't test whether Google Maps
can't-
speaks of Japan.
Well, you could go to Japan. You could.
I can't. I don't have the
Yeah, but
money.
you could. Yeah, but if you had the money, you could.
So similarly,
No.
similarly.
No.
Similarly. What do you
It's
mean,
not
no?
at all the same, because you can go.
No,
to,
let me just
it's
speak.
Possible.
Let me just explain.
Well, let me finish. It's possible to go to Japan and see if the road is the length of the road or not.
Yeah.
So you can test it. Agree?
Yeah. So
It's
similarly, you can go
it's
to God.
Possible.
Similarly, you can go to God and verify, test.
How would you know your answer is correct?
Well, in the same way, you go on Google and check there's a Japan, you buy your ticket,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you go. So
So
similarly,
how-
similarly, you practice
Yeah.
this form of meditation,
Okay.
and the final result is that you will meet God and you will verify whether it's true or not.
And how? All right. Here's another way of looking at that question. Let's talk about this road. Let's someone in Japan is looking at London, New Oxford Street, and they go, New Oxford Street it says on Google Maps it's 1.4 miles long. So they get on the plane, they get one of those click wheels, you meet a wheel, you roll it along the road, you walk from one end to the other. It's 1.2. You can test it.
Yes.
Anyone could test that.
Sure.
If it was wrong, there's a method, a testable method,
Yeah.
by which that could be discovered to be wrong.
Yeah.
What's a testable method by which any god, doesn't matter which one, could be shown to be not the correct one? A testable method.
Well, you practice the rules and regulations
And how would you
prescribed.
test that? So if it was wrong, how would you discover it was wrong?
Well, you follow the process and you see.
And how would you? And what would be a sign that it was incorrect? That's the question.
You won't see God.
Well, that's not answering my question then.
Why
how
not?
would you? Because the question wasn't how would you know it was. The question is how would you know that it wasn't?
I explain. You follow the process. There are certain
what-
rules and regulations.
Exactly. All right. So
certain
if you,
lifestyle.
If you were to do that, and what would be something that would show it's wrong?
You won't get the result.
What? Okay.
Just like you want to measure. You want to measure.
Give me an example of something.
You want to measure
Can
the
you
Oxford
give me-
Street?
Can you give me an example of something that wouldn't be the result that you're talking about?
You want to measure the Oxford Street.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm
So-
talking
so
about
you have to-
any God at all.
You have to measure the Oxford Street.
Yes, and
right?
you
You
can.
just said
You
it's
can.
testable.
You can.
So unless you make the experiment,
And if the wheel that I'm measuring to 1 meter wheel,
unless you use the wheel,
yes,
you can't understand.
exactly. So you agree that if we use the wheel to measure Oxford Street, we can know it wasn't 1.4 by the wheel
Yeah.
because the wheel showed it was 1.2.
Yes.
What was the way that you could show that it wasn't any God of any
You
faith?
practice, you surrender to God.
And how would you know that it wasn't? Not that it was, that it wasn't. Do you understand the question?
You won't see God.
Do you understand? Okay, so if somebody practiced this, and they said to you, "I didn't see God," would you say, "Oh yeah, I must be mistaken"?
You must practice to the point of
You
perfection.
see, again, you're saying that's not giving me a way of finding out
Why?
whether it was
It's
wrong.
the same thing, you know.
No,
if
it's
you
not
if
at
you
all.
measure,
It's nothing like
if
it
you
at all.
measure-
it's not remotely the same because there's a method of showing it's wrong.
if you measure the Oxford Street with the wheel dimension,
exactly.
you're gonna know.
How would you know it's wrong?
If
How would you know it's wrong?
If you don't measure, if you don't actually get to do it, you will never know how long the street is.
Good. So you
Yes.
you agree that if someone with a meter wheel or a meter wheel measured the streets and they got a different length, that different length would show that it's not 1.4 or whatever.
Yes.
What different answer would demonstrate the God you believe in rather than that they believe in or those people believe in isn't the correct God?
You won't see Him at the time of perfection. You won't see God. It will not work.
But that doesn't answer the question at all because you're
does.
saying no, it doesn't because what you're saying is I didn't see the God that is there.
Yeah.
But I don't think you would accept that if I went through all the meditation, I came to a conclusion
Seriously.
that God wasn't there. Would you agree? Oh yeah, Paul, that God wasn't there.
we basically-
would you agree with me that you didn't see it, can't be there? Would you agree?
We're basically asking people to measure the Oxford Street
Please
with these
answer
books.
the question I asked. Could you answer the question I
I'm
asked?
answering the question.
The question I'm asking is, if I meditated very deeply for a long time,
Yeah.
and I didn't come to the conclusion, and I
not-
said,
it's not
to
just
God,
a
well,
coming
please,
to conclusion.
please answer the question I'm asking. Is would you agree? Paul, you didn't see the God. It's clearly not there.
Yes.
You would agree with me?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Right. But I mean, I've done prayer and I never found a God. 10 years,
Okay.
I never found a God.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, even if I felt that there was a God, you know the word delusion.
Yeah. Feeling is not.
If you were writing a dictionary definition of the word delusion, and I'm a Martian, I've never heard the word delusion. I don't know what the word delusion means.
Yeah.
How would you define the word delusion in your own terminology?
Delusion.
What
It's
is a
something
delusion?
unreal that doesn't exist.
Sure,
It might seem like a reality, but it's false.
exactly.
Yeah.
So why is it not possible that any of, I'm not talking about just your God, any
Right.
God that, because I've talked to Hindus and Muslims, Christians, Jews, they're all really sure that their God is the right God.
Yeah.
And I say they can't all be right,
Yeah.
but they can all be wrong. Would you agree with that?
Well, we have a different
Would
understanding.
you agree with that? Would you agree that they can't all be right, but they can all be wrong?
Let me explain, because
That's a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no.
Well, it is.
It's
It
simultaneously
is.
one and different. You know, because we say it's the same God.
I know you do.
It's the same God.
But
It
could they all be wrong?
No. They're not wrong.
Question.
They're not wrong. They just have a different angles of vision of the same
You're saying
personality.
they can't all be wrong.
It's kind of like I can describe you in a certain way. I don't know much about you. You know, you're Paul.
You know my name, yeah.
You seem like a nice
absolutely.
guy.
I try to be.
So I can describe you to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But your intimate friend who know you for ages,
Know me a bit better.
he can describe in minute detail.
Sure.
So externally it might seem like a different description. My description might be different than his description. But we're talking about the same person.
But how do we know this person there at all? That's the question.
Okay, so
Give me an
yeah.
example. Can I give you an
Yeah, yeah.
example? If the children believe there are mermaids somewhere under the sea because they've read stories about mermaids under the sea, and I could say to you, well, have you been everywhere under the sea? Can you know there aren't any mermaids under the sea?
Right.
Is that a good reason to believe there are mermaids under the sea?
Yeah.
Is it or isn't it? I mean, is it?
It's like both.
It's a yes or no question.
Both sides,
It's a yes
yeah.
or no
You
question.
can question both sides, you know, whether
Why? If somebody's making the claim, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I could say there are mermaids
You have to
under
back it
the
up.
sea, and I could say, well, you don't know there are mermaids, so I can ask you, and you haven't even made a claim about any mermaids.
Right,
You haven't
right.
said, but I'm not saying anything about anybody's God. I'm asking how anyone can know about anybody else's God that they claim to know. So you're right, I can't know that this God or that God or those gods or any God isn't there.
Yeah.
But my question is, how could we not know if any of those gods were delusions? How could we know for sure? Because what's the nature of an actual delusion rather than just an error? What's the nature of a delusion is more than just an error, isn't it?
yeah,
It's an absolute certainty.
it's like insanity in one sense.
It could be,
Yeah.
That's how we know. If I was believing in mermaids when I'm 60 and they think there's mermaids, you'd think there's something strange about this person. But
Yes.
people can believe in this God, that God. And I don't want to pick on your God or their God or anybody's special God, because to me, they all tell me they know their God is the right God and those other ones are like it, but they've made mistaken. Do you understand what they're saying?
Yeah.
They can say about Krishna,
Can I ask you a
about
question?
Allah, or
Can I ask you a quick
Please
question?
do, please do.
How do you understand the definition of God? Whether God exists or not?
I've never understood it. I've never
Okay.
understood it, and I'll tell you why. Because I've only heard it. It's a bit like there's a poem. It's The Hunting of the Snark by Lewis Carroll, wrote Alice in Wonderland, and he's written this song. I've gone out hunting for the snark and I found it up there and I looked for it there. But you never know what the snark is, so how would you know you found it? I don't know what I've heard from different people, what different gods are like.
Okay.
But
So
there's no way
do you want to know definition according to our philosophy of God? We say that God is the absolute truth.
Okay.
And the absolute truth is everything within your experience and everything outside of your experience. Combined it.
Well, some things in your experience can be mistakes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Delusions.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, why not?
Because, you know, take the overall experience. I'm saying experience, all the experiences that you had in your life. Take everything all together.
Even the delusions.
Everything.
All right.
Everything combined together.
Okay.
And then you take all the experiences beyond your experience, beyond your
Well, you
comprehension.
don't have anything beyond your experience, so all experiences
You
are
don't
all
have,
you ever
but they
have.
are. They
all you
are.
ever have.
But they are.
Well, yeah, probably, but what the fact of the matter is we can't know about
Just like
those-
now,
There's
what-
no way to know about what you don't know.
Just
or
like-
have an experience, is there?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
For
But-
anybody.
But it exists. Otherwise,
Well, we don't even know it exists.
well then,
We can't
there will be
know
no
it exists.
there will be
We
no
have
meaning to this
we have-
conversation.
we have no way to know
Because,
it
for example,
exists.
now I'm explaining you our definition of God. So if you're getting a new experience by hearing me,
Well, I'm hearing a claim.
It's a new experience.
I'm hearing a claim. I'm not experiencing it, but I'm hearing a claim.
That is experience. Hearing is experience.
Well,
One of the
I'm
experiences.
experiencing a claim.
Yeah.
Okay.
You experience hearing something, whatever.
I hear a
I'm not
claim.
saying that you're experiencing our
Yeah,
God.
no,
That's not what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah, we're just experiencing a new thing. So
Yeah,
there
I
are
know.
things beyond your experience.
Yeah.
You know, there are things that you're going to experience in the future. So you take all of these, theoretically, just hypothetically, take the combination of all the experiences that are beyond your present experience. So that is the absolute truth.
Fine. I mean, I think there is an absolute truth. I mean,
Yes.
I'm absolutely, I mean, it could all be a dream. It could all be imagination. I don't think it is. But sometimes, you know, like you were saying about people, that someone you trusted and you thought, oh, they're trustworthy, and then one day you find out they're not.
Yeah.
So you can be mistaken. So
But you cannot be mistaken when you deal with the absolute truth, because when you have everything within your experience and everything beyond your experience, there cannot be anything outside of it. So we come to the completeness
I
of
think there's a
knowledge.
problem with that. I think
Tell
there's
me.
a problem with that. Is I would never say I ever know the absolute truth.
Yeah.
And the moment I thought I did, I'd say, well, how do you know? How do you know? Could you be mistaken? I suppose I could. So I have no expectations of finding any absolute truths, because there's no way to be absolutely certain you couldn't be mistaken.
Yeah, but you
Ever.
But you accept that there is the absolute truth. You just mentioned.
Well,
but
maybe there isn't. I don't know. I think there is. Whether there really is impossible to know. Impossible.
well, you're conscious, right? You're conscious.
I think I am. What do I mean by I? Maybe I'm.
You must be conscious.
Maybe.
Otherwise, this
maybe-
conversation doesn't make
I
any
think
sense.
I am conscious. I can't doubt that I'm conscious.
Yeah, then
That doesn't mean
meaningless. Our conversation will be meaningless.
I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, everything else beyond that, like this road, I think this road is here. I could be dreaming. I could be in a computer with electrodes going into my brain.
Sure.
It's possible. In principle,
But even
it's
if
possible. But I doubt it unless I have a very good reason to think that it's not here. I'll be 99% sure that it's probably here until something changes to make me think, oh, I shouldn't be 99% sure, I should be less. And maybe that could happen, I don't know how. Maybe I'll wake up and go, oh, on Mars, I wasn't even an Earthling, you know. I don't think it's going to happen.
So even if you take the alternative or the hypothesis that everything is a dream, again,
Not everything, but I must exist. Yeah.
just for argument's sake,
Sure.
then as soon as you say there's a dream, there must be reality, because dream can only exist within the realm
By
of
definition of a
duality.
dream is fantasy and a reality isn't. Yeah, I mean, I think there is some kind of reality. What the ultimate reality is, I think it is, you can never, ever, ever know, because
On your own. But
even with anybody else.
No, but suppose.
If you and I walked up and down the road and we said that was 1.4,
No, but suppose the
seems
ultimate
to be.
the ultimate reality shows itself to you.
then
Then
I'd
you
never
can
know it. Then I'd never ever recognise it ever.
No, I'm saying hypothetically. Then you would be able to know, just
How?
like
How?
you
No,
go
I
on
couldn't.
Google
No,
Maps.
No, I couldn't.
Just like you go on Google
No,
Maps.
I disagree. I couldn't.
Just like you go.
How could I?
Can I just finish?
Well, I want to stop you there because I couldn't. Because I couldn't know it.
Well, just like you go on
I
Google
could feel
Maps.
sure. I could feel sure.
You go on Google Maps.
I could feel
and you,
sure.
You
yes.
get the information,
But
even without verifying.
yeah. See, I think
And
it's
that's how you know. That's how you live practically.
I don't want to know. I want to find out if I've got good reasons. Because ultimate knowing is impossible.
Yeah.
So I just want to have as good a reason as I possibly can, as far as I can tell. And I'll be 99, I'll never get to 100, but I'll be 99% sure if he can test it, she can test it, they can test it, and they all say, yeah, it's 1.3 or 1.4. Then I said, well, that's what I thought. Good. With religions, they say, no, it's Allah, it's Vishnu, it's Shiva, it's Jehovah. They all have different answers, not one answer. And they say, oh, they've got it wrong, we've got it right, we've got it wrong, they've got it, you know.
Yeah. Well, we don't say that. Hare Krishna, we don't say that.
But you do.
We're special.
Well, what is the name of? Well, they all say they're special.
Okay.
They all say they're special.
But we can prove it also.
No, you can't.
Oh yeah, we
I'll
say.
prove it.
We say that all religions, at least the major ones,
Yeah.
they're actually
As I said,
right. They're actually
nothing,
right.
Nothing,
They're actually right. We say that.
They
We
can't
openly say
all
that
be right. They can all be wrong.
because God. As soon as we speak of God, we speak of the absolute truth. Cannot be 2 gods or 3 gods or 4 gods. God
Why
is
not?
one.
Why couldn't there be 19? Why not?
Because
That
I
could be
said, the
absolute,
absolute truth is everything within your experience, everything outside your experience. You can't have anything beyond that. When you come to that conclusion of the absolute, you can't go beyond it. There's no duality.
If you were,
oneness.
I would agree with you if that was possible, but it's impossible
What is impossible?
to know every truth that there is.
No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that there is the absolute truth. We might not. We might not.
It probably is. I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I would agree
Yeah.
with that there is.
Yeah.
I think where we disagree is I would say you can never ever know it, and you can say you can.
You can know it to a certain extent.
Well, you can know. Well, anybody can know it to a certain extent.
Yes.
That can see or hear or taste or touch.
Yes.
So that's the question. The important question is, how will we know she's got it right, he's got it wrong? They've got it right, they've got it wrong.
When you say
How will we
absolute,
test
there's no
it?
right or wrong.
There's
The
got to be a
absolute.
right or wrong. This road is either 1.4 or
It's
it
relative.
isn't.
That's relative.
To what?
It's a relative truth.
Why is it relative?
Relativity, theory of relativity, everything is relative.
Well, here and that,
Yeah.
on a different...
So we're speaking of
but I'm
God. God
talking
includes
about-
everything, right or wrong, all
Well,
of
here's another example.
it. Yeah.
Isn't relative. You know, pi, circle with pi,
Yeah.
that can't be relative
Why not?
because by definition, pi is what pi is, 3.1419, blah 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 blah. That can't be relative. Otherwise, you wouldn't be talking about a circle. So there are certain things to that. Whatever, we can never measure it to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But that's an absolute truth.
Yeah,
Gotta be.
I'm not saying everything is relative. I'm not saying
Oh,
that.
good.
No, I said all the relative truths are included in the absolute truth. So if you know the absolute
All right,
truth,
I will agree.
then you understand all the relative
But nobody can know the absolute truth. Nobody, can they?
to the full extent. No.
No.
But to a certain extent, yes.
This is the question.
Yeah.
This is the important question.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you, if it was possible you'd got it wrong, there needs to be a way that you could say, I know I've got that wrong. So,
Look, I'm a conditioned soul. I might get it wrong. But we're speaking.
Okay,
We're
okay.
speaking of a concept.
so might I.
Yeah.
So might I. So you would agree that you might get it wrong.
Yeah.
I can agree
Yeah.
that I might get it wrong.
Yeah. But the truth is the truth.
And the truth is the truth.
Reason is reason.
I grant you that
Yeah.
as well. So I might get it wrong, you might get it wrong, she might get it wrong, he might
Yeah.
get it wrong. Anyone could get it wrong. Anyone.
Yeah.
How could we find out who's closer to the truth? For sure. In a testable way.
Well, we must know the truth, at least to a certain extent. That's why we have these books.
I'm not, you see, but I've spoken to Muslims who get the Quran out. Say, this is the truth. It's not that book, not that one, it's this one.
Yeah.
Maybe they're right, you're wrong. Maybe the Bhagavad Gita's right, and that's wrong.
Oh, we say they're right. We say they're right. We say they're right.
But they're not agreeing on the details.
Okay.
And they need
Okay.
to totally agree.
Okay.
To be
No.
totally right, they have to totally agree. And they don't.
No, they don't have to totally agree.
Yes, of course they do. Otherwise, it couldn't be completely true. There's only one truth.
No. The truth is explained just like mathematics.
Like pi. Like pi, there's only one true answer to what the relationship to the diameter to the circumference. That's
Or
pi.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Right.
Right? Everybody
Sure.
agrees. The Christians,
Yes.
the Muslims, and so on and so on.
Yes, that's
but the
true.
level of mathematics
Yes.
in a grammar school is very basic compared to the university degree.
Sure.
So this is like the university degree about God consciousness. Here, all the details about God are explained. What is his form? What are his activities? What does he do? What is his nature? This is not explained anywhere else.
But
The form of
this
God.
is exactly the argument I hear someone with a Quran in their hand.
No, they don't describe. They say God has no form.
Yeah, exactly. So we've
Yeah.
got a difference of opinion already.
No.
But it's not the same book.
No, but God must have a form. We must come to
Well,
logic.
if there's a God,
He must have
we
a form.
can't just. You see, I think that's putting the cart before the horse. If you're going to say, well, we know there's a God from the get-go, you're not even stopping to think, oh, could I be mistaken? Is it possible? And you said yourself, you could be mistaken about anything.
No, but we already established that there's the absolute truth. I said that.
But isn't that just playing with words and saying, well, the absolute truth means God? You see, I think that's you can't do that. I could say that about
Why?
because I could say the absolute truth is Allah, not Krishna. No,
What's
it's
wrong with
Allah.
that? I agree with
But,
that.
yeah, but they can't both be true. But
Why
they
not?
Can't,
Allah means the
because
greatest.
They can't, the books
Allah means the
are
greatest.
different books making different
So in
claims. They
grammar
are
school they have
not-
different books, in university
No, but they don't have
books.
different mathematics, do they?
The same mathematics. So similarly,
So it's
the
not
God
similar.
is one.
No.
Science of God is one. The books might be different.
Can
the
I give you
theories
an
might be
example with Christians?
different.
I say Christians say God is in three forms: Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yeah, we say the same thing. Paramatma, Bhagavan, Jiva. We say the same thing.
So what if I said, oh no, it's four? So if somebody said no, it's four.
But I don't know.
Would they
You're
be
speaking
wrong?
of Christians.
No, well I'm saying, let's say I meet someone with I'm sure there are thousands of religions, aren't there? Literally thousands.
Yeah.
Got to be one that says no, it's not three, it's four.
Well, you can't make up a religion. Religion
You
means
can.
you can,
Of course you can.
but then
What's to
then
stop all religions?
well, I'll
being
tell you,
made
I'll
up?
tell you,
Of
I'll
course
tell you
can.
what's wrong with that. Because then you're
Absolutely
using your
can.
limited mind to
I
explain
can
the
make
absolute.
a religion up right now if you like.
Yeah, you can.
But mermaids.
But then you,
the mermaid
but then you-
religion is
then
true.
you're using-
Can you prove there are no
but
mermaids?
then
No,
you use,
you can't.
but then you're using your limited mind and limited senses to understand the absolute.
And everybody's got limited mind, limited senses. Everybody. Everyone.
That's why you have to accept authority.
Oh, I don't take any from authority.
No, you do. You
No,
just
you
say
don't.
use Google Maps,
Well, but you can test that authority.
but you do accept it.
If I can
So
test it,
you
if
said
I-
you trust it.
If I trust it, I don't have faith in it. Big
Doesn't
difference.
matter, you trust
yes,
it.
It
Does
does.
the
It makes a
dog.
big difference because
If you want to travel, you check the Google Maps, so you practically
Yes.
go to that place where Google
Absolutely.
Maps is recommending.
And I don't trust everything on Google Maps because when they drew the map and when I go there, they might have changed the layout. So it could have changed in the last week. So I never trust anything.
Yeah,
As I
religious
say,
people also
I
are not
never
blind.
ever trust anything 100%.
Religious people are also
if
not
it's-
blindly following. They also have discrimination. They also study.
Sure.
We also study, the scripture. We're not blindly following.
Sure.
We also question.
But I mean, okay, is there? Okay, I suppose from reading your books, what's the best reason from? Is it
Yeah.
this book or this book?
Yeah, all of them.
All right. So what's the best reason from any of these books for thinking that this is the clearest view of God, of a God?
I don't say clearest. I say this is the most complete.
All right, most complete.
Yeah.
What's the best reason?
Well, because the
to
others,
believe that-
the others are not giving the
No, but
description.
you're criticising other people who aren't here to talk about why theirs is better.
But it's a
so
fact.
let's talk about yours who is here. We can't talk. It's not fair to say about anybody else's book if they're not here to say.
No, but we're
that's not
speaking
the
of, let's say,
case.
Muslims or
No,
Christians.
I'm asking about you. This
Yeah,
book.
yeah,
These books.
yeah.
I don't want to know about people who aren't here to talk to give their
No,
side.
well,
of
you
it.
just asked
Two
me.
sides to every story.
No. You
Yeah.
just asked me what makes this the clearest explanation compared to the others.
What is the best
Compared to the others.
What is the best reason for you
Yeah.
to think that
Compared to the others.
that this is the best,
Compared to the
clearest
others.
compared to anything?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I say,
Yeah.
this gives the most complete information about God.
And how would you know
His
that?
form, well, it's explain that. You know?
Okay.
The form of God is given, his activities is described, the spiritual world, what does he do?
All right,
these
so
things.
let's get
This is-
really,
this is
let's
not-
get really
Let me just
precise.
finish. Let me just finish.
Okay.
This is
Well,
not
one thing.
No.
One
Let me
thing.
finish.
Yeah.
This is not in a Quran.
All right.
This is not in the Bible.
All right.
What is God's form? This is not given in the Bible
All
or
right.
the Quran. It's just not there.
Well, all right. Okay, but what is here? What's the
Form,
best?
the form.
Can,
Described. The form is described here.
what,
You see
here,
Krishna.
as
Yeah.
illustrated.
Yeah.
Good. How could we know if that was wrong?
Well, that's another debate. That's another debate. You were asking me.
But
You were asking me
because
what makes this different from the
my-
others. So I'm giving you the answer.
I know you give me an
Yeah.
answer. I want to know how you could know that that's a good answer.
From the very beginning, I told you I can't know because I'm imperfect.
So nobody can. So it could be as good as theirs, or anybody. Do you see the problem?
No, it can't be because there is no
Yes, it could.
there's no description of God in other scriptures.
Well, I'm not sure that in all the thousands of religions, there's no descriptions of God at all.
let's discuss.
What about in the Bible, God was a burning bush? Maybe God was a burning bush.
I don't think that's the form of God.
Well, that's not what the Bible says.
Yeah, like God is everywhere.
appeared as
God
a
is,
burning bush.
just like I said before, God is the sunshine, is the energy. Like the sun is.
Well,
is
I don't know if it says
Can
that.
I just
but
finish? Can I
do
just
know
finish?
It says it's a burning bush, yeah?
I want to also say something.
Yeah.
You know, God is everywhere by his energy. So God is everything. You're also God because
Okay.
you're the energy of God.
Isn't God all-knowing?
But God
Isn't
also
God all-knowing?
God is also the supreme source. And there's a difference. Just like the sun planet is the source and the sunshine is the emanation.
I understand the
So
point.
what is if that source
Yes.
is the all perfection?
Sure,
Shouldn't you have a form? You have a form. This is how you enjoy. This is how you have your individuality. I have my individuality.
Absolutely.
That's why we argue right now
Yeah.
because you have
I'm not
different
arguing,
opinions.
I'm just trying to get an answer.
Yeah, and you have different
So-
opinions.
so if that
he
was
also
wrong-
must have individuality. What is that
Okay.
individuality? How God enjoys.
Differences.
How God enjoys.
How do we know?
You enjoy.
How do we know that's God? But it might just be me. It might not be. It might not be. It might
No.
be a
My
man.
question is, how God, if there's God, how does he enjoy?
I've no idea. No
So
way
that's
of knowing.
why we're here. We have that information here. You take it, read it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you throw it out.
But I think if I was to
That's
read,
it.
if I was to read any book,
Yeah.
I'd need. That's why I asked you, what's the best reason? The best reason. The most.
I gave you. This
No,
is
but
the
I don't
most
think
complete.
you did. You gave me a whole list. I want one thing.
No.
One.
I said
single.
most complete description of God.
And how would
Out
you
of
know
all
it's the
scripture.
most complete? And
Well, bring
somebody
any
else-
other. Bring any
But
other.
no, that's no good. That's no good at all.
Well, you
No,
know,
I'll tell you why.
I'll
because-
tell you
because we haven't
something.
got
I'll
a-
tell you
we
something.
haven't got
You
a
know,
Muslim
you
saying,
you're lost
"My
in a
book is better
forest.
than your book."
You're lost in a forest,
Yeah.
and you want to get out of the forest.
Sure.
You know. So I come and I say, I know you go that way.
Yeah.
You say, prove it to me.
Yeah.
Then
You need a compass.
No, you don't understand your position. You know, you're lost in a forest. If you're ignorant,
I agree.
and if you want to know,
I agree.
you have to experiment.
Well, would you agree that if we had a compass,
Yeah.
a compass could tell us if you're right or his right. You might say we all need to go north. She might say we all need to go south. They might say we're going to go west. They might say we're all going to go east. And for argument's sake, let's say it's southwest. If there isn't a way of testing all the different opinions about that way, or that way, with a compass, you can test the compass, you can see if you're wrong.
Yeah.
You can see if you're wrong. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So how would you see if you were wrong?
I'm speaking simply on the basis of knowledge.
No, I don't think you are. I think
The
you're talking
knowledge.
about belief.
No. The knowledge.
The man
Let me
with
just
the
finish. Let me
compass-
just finish.
The man with the compass.
Let me
has
just
got
finish. You're
nose.
asking a question, so
Yeah.
so you should
But
also
again,
hear the
you're
answer.
putting the cart before the horse again.
Um,
You're doing it again.
In terms of the amount of information, the amount of knowledge, The Vedas
I
are
don't
the
accept that's knowledge until you show it's knowledge. You can't
knowledge-
start off this is knowledge.
Okay, that
Anybody can
if
say
you
I'm
want to
starting off
qualify
here,
knowledge,
I have
that's a
knowledge.
different topic. But you asking me what is the clearest best reason to accept this book? I said the best reason is that the amount of information is the most complete. That's all I'm saying.
Sure,
Now, whether
sure.
it's true or not,
Okay.
that is entirely up to you. Because
Okay.
when we speak of God,
Yeah.
it's not a compass. It's not a blind faith. It is.
I think it is.
It is, and a decision that is based on your freedom. Even in the compass can be wrong.
Sure. Okay.
You see,
It is. But you can see if the compass was
let me just
turned.
finish.
Yeah.
But things like consciousness, you agree that yes, we can question everything, but the fact that I'm conscious is undeniable.
Yeah.
So similarly, when you have the real experience of God, you don't need anyone else, any compass to tell you.
I would, because if I thought this is God,
Yeah.
and I would need a way to find out if what I believed was a delusion or not. And
Okay.
if I can't test it against being a delusion, it could be a figment of my imagination.
That is to a certain extent, but I'll give you an
Of course
example.
it is.
I'll give you an example. If you eat food,
I do. Believe that. You can believe that.
if you eat, you know that you're full.
Sure.
You don't need to ask anyone. You don't need evidence. You don't need a certificate.
Sure.
You just know it.
Oh yeah.
You fulfilled.
Yeah.
So in the same way, if you understand God, you know it.
But there are people with a condition, they can't stop eating. They always feel hungry and they get really fat because they're always eating, because they never feel satiated. They never feel full up. But they are.
Yeah.
They're deluded.
Yeah.
So that could be delusion.
Well, that's a
Not a good example.
extreme example.
But it's
Yeah.
a
Generally
it
speaking.
It just goes to show people can be mistaken about that. So that's
Yeah.
not a good example.
Well, we can only use examples from the material world.
Well, I
In the
mean,
material world, everything has a saturation
I could
point.
take out a compass right now, and I could test whether it's, if I go around,
Yeah, but the compass
the
might be
needle
wrong.
the needle will move.
But the needle might be wrong. It might be
Why would the
imperfect.
needle be wrong if
Just
I'm
like the
going
person
around?
who's eating a lot of food, he
No,
doesn't
why
know
would
his
the needle-
he doesn't know his limits.
If the needle always points the one way and I'm turning it, how could it be wrong?
It might be broken.
Well, no, it'd be broken if it didn't turn.
Maybe it's broken still. How do you know?
You haven't got any.
How do you know?
Because it's always pointing one way, not any way. If it was broke, I've got one in my car's broken.
Yeah.
Everywhere I'm going, it says I'm going north. I should throw it away. That's how I know it's broken. If I have one that keeps changing every time I turn 90 degrees,
But you're imperfect.
and it turns 90 degrees.
You admitted you're imperfect. It might be
Yeah.
a dream. You might be
It
hallucinating.
might be, but as best as I can ever tell about anything,
By the compass.
it's as reliable as it gets,
Yeah.
apart from consciousness, agreed?
Yeah.
So that's as good as it'll ever get. So that's a very, very good reason to think that that's very probably true.
Why?
But because it's changing as
You
I
might be
turn.
hallucinating, as I said
Well,
before.
yeah, but anything might be. God could be hallucination as well. So we have to say if we're not
No.
hallucinating.
God cannot be hallucination
Why?
because God,
Yeah.
God, in our definition, is the absolute truth. Everything within your experience, everything
Of course
beyond
it
your
can be
experience.
hallucination.
It can't be hallucination
Why not?
because philosophically, then what are you left with?
Reality.
What do you mean reality?
Godless reality.
Godless reality.
Yeah. If
But what is God?
If we were, well, it's not for me to tell anybody. I wouldn't come up with
So
the
then
claim.
what?
I don't know.
How can you speak
I
of God
don't
if you don't know what it
But
means?
I can only ask people who claim they do know. Yeah.
But you do not know what is God. You just said.
No, that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah.
How you can be sure.
No. First of all, you must understand what is God. How can you?
No.
Of
No.
Of course, you must know.
No. Because if that was the case,
You must-
if that was
you
the
asking
case,
me,
I
how
couldn't
are you
learn.
sure about what?
No. I couldn't learn anything if I never knew about it before.
You
I
asking me
could
a
never learn
question.
about
You
it.
asking me a question,
Yeah.
but you don't know what the question means. You asking me what is God? How do
Yeah.
you know that this is the real God.
Sure.
But you don't know the definition of God, so how can I answer you?
Well, I've heard your definition.
Yes.
You said absolute truth.
Yeah.
Well, I believe in absolute truth.
There you go.
But to me, I see no good reason from anybody, not just you, that anybody's God is the true God, or a God at all. If we were living in a godless universe, how would you know we're living in a godless universe?
I'm a little confused because you're using the word God.
No, God, no, I'm not. Godless universe.
No, but what is God? We're,
No, I'm not saying God. I'm saying godless.
yeah, what is God? Godless. You
That's not for no godless
Yeah.
universe.
means
So whatever
because
you
for me,
whatever
for
you
me
think.
God means absolute truth. Everything within your experience, everything
Well,
being
that's
reality.
again. That's cart before the horse.
So if you-
that's cart before the horse reasoning.
if
all
you-
over again.
If you say like that, godless, for me it means that there is no consciousness, there's no things beyond your
Well, I think
consciousness,
there's
there's nothing.
consciousness.
Yeah, so you have to clarify the
I think there's
definition.
consciousness. No, you do. I'm not making the claim. You are.
I did the definition. I gave you the definition.
But if you're just going to say it's truth, then you get there in one step.
I
It's
didn't
true.
say
The
it.
end
I
of
didn't say
story.
it. I said
Absolutely.
everything within your experience, everything outside of your experience. That's perfect. That's completeness of everything.
Well, I understand the.
You can't
I-
argue
I-
wrong
I
or
do.
right, truth or lie, because everything is included in the absolute truth.
Well, even the delusions.
Then delusions, of
Well,
course,
they're not true by definition.
but the supreme absolute truth is not delusional, but it contains delusion also. Just
But
like
a
the sun.
delusion is something
The
that
sun is
isn't
not
true.
sunshine.
Here's a
The
question.
sun is not the sunshine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? But the sunshine is
Yeah.
part and parcel of the sun. So
Okay.
similarly, delusion is part and parcel of the absolute.
I'll leave you with this thought. Have you heard of the philosopher called Wittgenstein?
Of course.
Yeah. And he had a student called Miss Anselm. And Miss Anselm said to Wittgenstein, she said, isn't it funny that hundreds of years ago, everybody used to think that it was the sun that went around the earth? And, no, sorry, Wittgenstein said, I got it wrong. Wittgenstein said, back hundreds of years ago, everyone used to think that it was the sun that went around the earth. And his student said to him, well, I suppose it's because it looks like the sun goes around the earth. And he said to her, well, what would it look like if you were standing on a spinning globe instead? Can you answer that question? Can you answer that question?
I'm not sure if I understand.
He said to her, hundreds of years ago, everyone used to believe that
sun goes around the
no, they could see the sun going around the earth. Everyone used to say that. And she, his student, said to him, well, I suppose it's because it looks like the sun is going around the earth. So his question, my question to you is, well, what would it look like if it was the other way around and the earth was going around and not the sun? How would it look any different? How would it look any different?
Wouldn't.
And how would it look any different if we were living in a godless universe? Can you answer that question? How would it look any different?
It will look the same.
It would look the same.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Great philosopher. Come and argue. Come on, where are you running? Let's finish the discussion. Why he left? All right.